Welcome back to the First Row Sports Show, brought to you by Pass the Pop, 215 Main Street North in Dauphin. They got everything you need: pop, treats, cookies. Everything you need is at Pass the Pop, 215 Main Street North. Now joined by Ryan McNally, coming to you from Regina. We've been to Regina in the show. We've been to Portage La Prairie. We've been to North Bay, Ontario. Ryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm plugging away, and I think it's safe to say you're a die-hard Leafs fan. Am I right when I say that?
Yeah, I've been following them since I was born. Let's be real. So, yeah, no, they're a team of mine. That's for sure.
Now, Lou Lamoriello, he is no longer the team's GM. They announced today he will not be back with the Maple Leafs as the GM next season. I guess when you found out this, what were your first thoughts and reaction from it?
Well, I'll look at it from two perspectives here. I'll look at it from an analyst perspective. It's one that I can kind of understand because, Lou isn't young anymore. He's definitely an experienced GM. Has been around the league for quite some time, first with the Devils, winning 3 Stanley Cups with the Devils, if I'm not mistaken, and tried to do the same with Toronto. And, I feel as though a lot of it has to do with, him getting up there in age and just the stress of being the Toronto Maple Leafs GM just might have gotten to him. As a fan, I just question what this does to the development of our young team because that core group has only really known one GM for their pro careers, that being Lou Lamoriello. So just hope that it doesn't really put a speed bump into the progress of the team.
Now, do you think on the other side, if they bring in someone younger, obviously probably won't have as much tenure as Lamoriello because he's been in the league for as long as I can remember. But if you bring in someone younger with not as much experience to instill that, young attitude to your team, do you think the Maple Leafs going forward can still have the success that they had? Although granted, they didn't win anything in the playoffs. If they bring in someone younger, can they have success like they did with Lamoriello behind there?
Well, at that same time, I'm not quite 100% sold on if we need that one more piece at the deadline, can that young, unexperienced GM have enough pull to make that move happen? Whereas Lou, got Thomas Plekanec in what a lot of people seem to think was a very big trade. And sure, Plekanec is probably going to go back to Montreal this summer, but still, Plekanec was definitely a game changer. And without Plekanec, I can definitely see that series ending in 5 or even potentially 4. So really, Lou does make some big game-changing trades, and we're going to need a GM that has that pull, I guess.
Now let's take a look at the Toronto Maple Leafs going forward after their loss against the Boston Bruins. A very good series, came back from down 3-1 and, pushed it in Game 7. Arguably, maybe should have won that game just based on, the lead they had. They ended up falling. But going forward, where do you see, not as just a fan, because obviously, as a fan, we all want to see our team succeed. I would love to see the Oilers win the Stanley Cup next year. That's not the case. But as an analyst, where do you see the Toronto Maple Leafs in the near future? Like as we took a look, next year into, a 5-year plan coming up?
Well, this year I would have seen them making the second round. However, you run into a very difficult Atlantic division with Tampa Bay and Boston both in your division ahead of you. 3 very strong teams in one division makes for some tough sledding in the playoffs. We've seen what Minnesota had to go through this year with Winnipeg and Nashville. But going forward, I can definitely see Toronto making the second round next year. After that, it kind of just depends on what they can do with Mitch Marner, Will Nylander, and Austin Matthews, and ultimately what they do in this offseason with James Van Riemsdyk, Tyler Bozak, and Nazem Kadri. Again, 3 very key pieces in their system moving forward, and really I hope that they can keep around JVR and Kadri and ultimately keep the young kids together, but that they're all going to be wanting some big-time cash, and just the salary cap era won't allow it. So it's tough to say what can happen 5 years down the road, especially in today's NHL.
Now, I want to quickly bring up Jake Gardiner. Obviously, heartbroken after what happened in Game 7. He took a lot of the blame on his shoulder, and whether he was right to take the blame or not, the fact is that he did. Do you think what happened in Game 7, is going to hurt him and, maybe deteriorate his play going forward? Or do you think he's a guy who can rebound from this, take it as, a learning example and that sort of thing, and move on from it into next season?
Well, the way he kind of responded right after, it doesn't help him. Kind of weighing yourself on it, saying, "Oh well, I take the blame for this one. I know that I lost us a game out there." Well, no, you lose as a team and you win as a team, so you got to have that mentality. That being said, is Jake Gardiner one of the most talented puck movers in the NHL today? Absolutely not. But he's a young defenseman. He's gonna make mistakes, and simple as that. He did in Game 7. He made 5 of them, and he's a -5, and the Leafs lost 7-4. So really, it's tough to say what will become of Jake Gardiner. I hope nothing but good things for him, but ultimately at the same time, that he's going to be, he's going to be hurting after this one.
Well, he's got some time to think about it and hit the golf course for now. And taking a look at, the rest of the playoffs, Ryan, just one more last question. Who do you see as the Stanley Cup champion this season?
Well, I've been riding that Vegas Golden Knights train really, because I was one of the only people that said, yeah, Vegas is over LA for sure. But I'd love to see Vegas in the Cup final, but I know Nashville's a very strong team. Whether or not they beat Winnipeg is kind of up for debates. And coming out of the East, till Pittsburgh loses, the team has to prove me wrong on Pittsburgh, because they look like a very strong team again this year.
People are saying, Pittsburgh doesn't look the same. Pittsburgh still has Sidney Crosby. Murray's proven to be a champion. Evgeny Malkin, when he gets back, they have Gensel. This is still a championship team. And, come the playoffs, I really do think anything can happen at any time, really.
And Phil Kessel. You can never forget
Phil Kessel. A Maple Leaf forever. Ryan,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for tuning on to the First Row Sports Show, and we'll talk to you soon.
Alrighty, thank you so much.
That was Ryan McNally live from Regina, chatting on the First Row Sports Show. Lou Lamoriello no longer a part of the Toronto Maple Leafs as their general manager. He will stick with the organization as the senior advisor heading into next year. That'll wrap up another First Row Sports Show. On the start of the show, we had Cody Bueller, the voice of the Portage Terriers, on to chat some NHL, and of course the Winnipeg Jets taking on the Nashville Predators tomorrow. Brian Floyd, live from North Bay, Ontario, tuned in to, joined the show to chat about the Raptors and all the NBA playoffs. And then, like I said, Ryan McNally capped it off chatting Lou Lamoriello. Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget, tomorrow is Trivia Tuesday. That's right. Stay tuned to the First Row Sports Show Facebook page, and you'll find out what happens on Trivia Tuesday and how you could win some free money, or maybe a pop, maybe 5 pops. Stay tuned, because that's on the way, and don't forget to like us on Facebook and Twitter. See you guys soon.
Thanks for listening to the First Row Sports Show. Check us out on Twitter at First Row Sports Zero and Facebook. Follow the guys on Twitter at It's the Duffy One and Y Darble.